Alright, we're in 1-4 in your geometry book. We are going to talk about pairs of angles today. But before we start talking about pairs of angles, I want you to stop the video and see if you can try to answer these two warm-up questions. These are really from 1-3. So if you're confused, go back to your 1-3 notes and see if that can help you out anymore. Or look at your book. Okay, so by the end of the video, we have a lot to do today, fun stuff. We're talking about angles. We're going to identify adjacent, vertical, complementary, and supplementary angles, and we're also going to find measures of pairs of angles. We're going to have a lot to do. This is how I broke up the video. We're first going to start off with identifying angle pairs, then we're talking about vertical angles. I love them. Then we're going to talk about complementary and supplementary angles. Then we're going to finish the video with multi-step problems, and in the class tomorrow, we're going to talk about problem solving. Sweet. Okay, so the first two vocabulary words of this section are adjacent angles and linear pair. Adjacent means basically that they are right next to each other. You could call them neighbors. They are angles that are neighbors. They share a ray, and they have a common vertex. So they have a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. So for example, if I say that this angle is ABC, and then this ray I'll say is BD. Okay, I could not say that angle ABC and angle ABD are adjacent angles because angle ABD is inside ABC. So these are not an example of adjacent angles. What is an example of adjacent angles are angle 1 and angle 2. Notice angle 1 and angle 2, they share this common ray. And they're neighbors. Yay. Okay, so adjacent angles. The second vocabulary word is a linear pair. Well, linear means line, and pair means two. So when I say linear pair, I really mean two angles that share a ray, so they're neighbors, and they form a straight line. So linear pair, two angles that share a ray, only two angles that share a ray and form a line. And because they share this ray, we could say that they are also adjacent angles. So linear pair will always be adjacent angles. And then those non-common, that side that they don't share, they form opposite rays. They form a line. So this is an example of a linear pair. Now I want you to think about this for a second. Do all adjacent angles form a linear pair, always and always? Do they always form a linear pair? And then the second thing I want you to think about is, are all linear pairs always going to be adjacent? So those questions are slightly different from each other. Think about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So here's some problems that you're going to see in your textbook. It says, tell whether the angles are only adjacent and form a linear pair, or not adjacent. So you have three different choices here. So I'm going to do this first one for you. So it says angle AEB. Here's A, here's E, here's B. That's this first angle. Sweet. And then the second angle is BED. So B to E to D. So here's this second angle. Well, if you notice, they share a ray. Sweet. So that means that for sure they're going to be adjacent. Well, and if you look at those the other rays, so if you don't look at the one that they share, this is one that they share. So if you look at the other ones, this one and this one, they do form a straight line. So this is adjacent and forms a linear pair. Great. I'm going to erase all this mumbo jumbo. I want you guys to do the same kind of process for number 2, and we'll talk about it in class what you got tomorrow. Sweet. Now we get to move on. We talked about adjacent and linear pair. The next vocabulary word is vertical angles, and you guys are going to call me a dork. That's okay. I'm used to it. I absolutely love vertical angles. We use these a lot throughout the entire year. Vertical angles are non-adjacent angles, so they're not next door neighbors. You could call them across the street neighbors. So they do not form a same ray. They do have the same vertex. So for example, angle 2 and angle 4, these are vertical angles. So angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles because they're across the street from each other. Similarly, angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. And if you notice, I was putting tick marks on them. That's because one of the awesome reasons I love vertical angles is because vertical angles are always going to be congruent to each other. So angle 2 and angle 4, notice how they're both acute angles. They're absolutely congruent. They're the same size. And similarly for angle 1 and angle 3, they're obtuse angles and they're also congruent to each other. So vertical angles always congruent. Okay, moving right along. Complementary and supplementary. These are some more vocabulary words. Complementary is two angles and only two angles that when you add them up, they equal 90 degrees. I want you to write this down. Does not have to be adjacent. For both complementary and supplementary, they do not have to be neighbors. They could be angles completely not touching at all, and they can still be complementary as long as they add up to be 90 degrees. Supplementary is very similar to complementary, except they have to add up to be 180 degrees. So tomorrow if I ask you what complementary means, you're not going to say, Miss Broyles, I like your hair. That's an example of complementary. True, I have nice hair. But in geometry, complementary angles add up to be 90 degrees. Supplementary, 180 degrees. So if you look at these examples, angle A and angle B, these are examples of complementary angles, because they add up to be 90 degrees, and notice they're not touching each other. That's fine. They could be touching. And angle B and angle C, if you add these up, they're going to add up to be not 180 degrees. But if you add up A and C, they are going to be 180 degrees, so they are supplementary. I would write these down in your notes, because the next example I'm going to show you I'll show you why you'll need this. Okay, so in the book, they're going to give you easy questions like this. Find the supplement of angle F. Okay, well, supplement. We know supplement means 180 degrees. Now, I told you in the other video, whenever you see supplement, just go 180 minus x. In this case, F is the x. So, and we know what x is, or sorry, we know what F is. So all you're going to do is plug it in, 180 minus 59, and that's going to tell you that what the complement is. So that's what, 121 degrees? That's your answer. You can give me an answer because I gave you the angle. Number 4, however, we're going to give you problems that look like this, and a lot of students get really confused, like, well, Miss Broyles, there's an x, I need to solve for x. You do not need to solve for x. I'm not giving you enough information. Complement, remember, is 90 minus x. In this case, that angle G is what we're going to plug in, and angle G is this stuff, so you're going to go 90 minus all of this stuff, 7x plus 10, and then you're going to simplify. Okay, well, 90 minus, you're going to distribute that negative sign, so it's 90 minus 7x minus 10. And then you're going to combine like terms. And 90 minus 10 is 80. So your final answer is 80 minus 7x. That's it. That's all I want from you. That's your final answer. I know you don't like it, but trust me, that's all you can do. Okay, cool. Let's see, moving on to the last slide. All right, so we've talked about all of our vocabulary. The last thing we have to do is fun word problems, and then the class tomorrow we'll talk about problem solving. So you're going to have problems like this. And trust me, I love to give you these on your quiz and your test. And fun fact of the video, random, I have 5 brothers and sisters. You don't need to write that down in your notes, but I may ask you tomorrow how many brothers and sisters I have. Okay, so last one. It says an angle is in algebra means equals. 10 degrees more than means add. So we have 10, I'm going to have angle, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go back. An angle, that just is x, okay? So we don't know what the angle is, so we'll call it x. X is 10 degrees more than plus 3 times the measure of its complement. Remember, complement, I told you to write down that complement is 90 minus x. Find the measure of the complement. I'm going to highlight this for you. Complement. Find the measure of the complement. So when we don't actually want to find out what x is, we want to know what 90 minus x is. Don't do your happy dance too soon, right? Now that you guys have an equal sign, this is something you can actually solve for. So x equals 10 plus 3 parentheses 90 minus x. You can do your algebra. Distribute, so you have x equals 10 plus 270 minus 3x. Combine like terms. I'm going to add this 3x over. So we have 4x equals 280, and you have x equals 70 degrees. I hope I did my, yeah, I think I did my math right. Okay, and some of you guys are going to stop there and be like, boom, I'm done. No, go back and read the question. Find the measure of the complement. X, we said, was the angle. I don't care about the angle. I want to know what the complement is. So your final answer is 90 minus 70. 20 degrees is the correct answer. Go ahead and see if you can do number 5. You guys rock. I will talk to you tomorrow. Peace.